Thanks for tuning in to Turn to the Stars. My name is Andrea Klim, and today we have a pretty interesting show for you. And that show is going to be in 3 different parts. I've got 3 different charts to talk about. Today is December 11th, 2012. So we're going to be talking about 12-12-12 and that energy influence. We're going to be talking about December 13th, 2012 and the new moon that is the energy, the framework of that energy that's coming in. And then we're going to be talking about December 21st, 2012, the Winter Solstice, and what this will be unveiling for us energetically here on Earth. So, one of the things that I want to point out to you is that really today's show is to remind you that everything is beautiful and that there's beauty in everything. And that is what the framework of what is growing this month of December. Every culture has its beauty. Every belief system has its beauty. The fun and excitement of the endless possibilities that are ahead of us. That's beautiful in itself. No matter what you look like, no matter what you own or who you are, there's beauty in everything if you just look for it. And so that song kept coming into my head this week by Ray Stevens, Everything is Beautiful. And I know why, because in this month of December, the Sagittarius energy is big. The sun moves through this constellation, and it reminds us to reach for the stars, to, really just expand and looking and searching for those answers. Now, last month I talked about the solar eclipse that carried the energy that encouraged us to all be like detectives, identifying the things that were not working in our lives, promising us a new direction, a new identity would come through this process. So this month, December 2012, holds the promise that it's time now to clean it up, collect the truth, explore the new horizons that are ahead of us, get to know who you are in the bigger picture of this new framework. And as this new chapter begins to unfold, we'll all be able to see beyond where we are at this time. Now, I have a little story to tell you. In December, the daylight becomes shorter and shorter, and the winter winds come strong. And we soon begin to realize that within the darkness lies the mysteries and the reasons behind our concerns and our worries. And so in this story of where we're at right now, energetically, astrologically, with the planets, as you can see behind me, the planets are all around this light right in the middle. So with every shadow comes the uncertainty that we must deal with. So as we move forward through the still of this darker time of year, the winter solstice approaches, and in connection with the Mayan prophecy announcing the beginning of a new age, and it brings with it the shadows of the unknown. So depending on how much we approach this unknown and the attitudes we cling to, these attitudes determine the success we have in overcoming the fears that we carry inside of us and the accomplishments that we will make. So as the framework of this new atmosphere, the 21-degree Sagittarius and 43-minute new moon makes its appearance this week, December 13th at 2:44 a.m. here in Manchester, New Hampshire. It emphasizes knowing and being your true self. It will be our saving grace in dealing with whatever the future is about to lay in our path for our growth. So it's interesting that on this new moon, we have Saturn and Pluto creating a finger of God aspect, and it's towards Jupiter, which may trigger major life events for everyone that may turn out to be too complicated to handle without caution, understanding, and sensitivity. Now, when a finger of God appears in our universe, in our astrological heavens, with the planets, a finger of God is something that it actually, you can see it on this chart up here. The foot of it is about 1 o'clock. You'll see Jupiter there. And that is actually what we consider the foot of this finger of God. And then you see like these two gray lines that reach down. We consider those like the arms reaching out from, and they reach out to Pluto, and one of them reaches to Saturn. And the indication of this is it makes us feel like a tuning fork, because there's great change abound around us. And this, on this new moon, promises that we're all going to feel this vibrational change very much affecting us. So the finger of God is going to force us to find ways to manage this time of change, understanding it does bring out our biggest sensitivities, indicating a great need for resourcefulness and creativity to overcome any situations or difficulties that we may encounter. It will take enormous initiative to overcome the limitations created by the yod, or this finger of God aspect showing up in our heavens. Also, we call it the finger of God or the yod. Yod in Hebrew, it does actually mean the finger of God. And although it is truly a blessing, the first encounter with this aspect allows us to see and experience the difficulties and the growing pains and the lessons and the trials and the errors we always need to experience in order to grow. So the lessons here lie in whether we learn from our experiences and move onward and forward, or whether we use this as a stumbling block or an excuse to continue as we have. So as the winter solstice indicates a major turning point in our evolution, and it points us to reconsider and rethink where we've been. And on the screen you see the winter solstice. This is the chart for the winter solstice, and it's suggesting that a new era is upon us and that we need to take good care and restrain on the decisions and the directions we're about to make. I'm going to talk about these charts much more in depth as the show progresses, but what the indication is that we need to move ahead with caution and alertness to the dangers that are around us. Now, it's interesting, you've heard me talk on other shows about the Sabian symbols. Sabian symbols are something that provide us with more insight. What they do is look at the particular degrees of the energy that is present by the particular planet that we're referring to in the constellation. And so the Sabian symbol that I follow, written by Mark Edmund Jones, this one for 22 degrees Sagittarius is quite interesting, because it's sort of like doing laundry. It's one of those things that this energy of this new moon is going to help us to do some self-refinement through unsuspected or unexpected activities of the community, which deny us the more superficial interactions with our friends in our community. So there's a new richness of living from a concentration on our goals and from an association with others of like mind. So there's a projected self-sustainment through this limitless hard labor. So the key word is seclusion. So with this new moon, basically the picture that it paints is, it speaks to us of self-refinement and a total environment of us each providing a service of physical or mental quality which will improve the self-assessment of our path, individually giving us the confidence to go into the world with integrity and honor to fulfill our purposes in life. Now, when you do laundry, it's sort of like one of those really boring, seems unimportant type of job, but it does affect us and the course of our lives. So when you're clean and when you have clean clothes, pressed clothes, you go out into the world with more confidence. So what this new moon, or the message of this new framework that's coming on December 13, is that it enforces and confirms the messages of the night sky this month, which promises this framework of expansion, of realization, projecting that we look out, we look beyond the regular boundaries of what we can see. By knowing who you are, explore who you are, find out more about who you are. Being able to express it is like having clean clothes. You're creating an atmosphere which enhances your ability to manage the circumstances and come out of it with flying colors. So who we are is symbolic, like clean clothes we put on. It reinforces our self-confidence, allows the world to see us or see you who you really are and wish to be. Knowing yourself is one of the essential ingredients of success. So the message of this new moon in Sagittarius is telling you to know and to be yourself, and that this will be the most important thing for you, or we, as the world enters into this new age of growth. And before we have the new moon, which is December 13th, there's something that everyone's talking about, which is 12-12-12. This day is another gate or opening toward this, beginning of this new age. And if you look at these numbers, 12, 12, 12, they actually 1 and 2 adds up to 3, 3, 3, 3 equals 9. And 9 is a number that when we look at the meaning of this number, it talks to us about the ability to see clearly. It's representative of our three worlds: our physical world, our spiritual world, our intellectual world. And it provides us, the energy of this number, it provides the ability to understand. It offers that there's challenges we face in connecting and receiving our own wisdom. So we learn through that process. That's what this 333 is out. We're on this search for knowledge which is beyond what we can see, touch, and feel right here. And now at exactly 5:30 a.m. we're going to put up the 12-12-12 chart right now. At exactly 12:30, between 5:30 a.m., you see this chart is 5:30 a.m. And you see right down the middle of that chart is this opposition. So, and I'm going to talk about that opposition right now, because during this time that you should expect, because of this opposition and because of the mutable T-square that it is involved in this chart, what it means is that we can expect to feel this emotional pull between the hours of 5:30 and 12:30 noon. There's a sense of dividedness. There's a sense of feeling overwhelmed by the truth, as if you're being downloaded with information. The spirit, the soul, and the mind and the body. You've heard me talk about this on other shows. These four components which makes us up as human beings. The spirit is your light. It's your drive. It's your being alive. The soul carries memories of lives lived before or memories of the past. The mind is our way to make rational, logical decisions and to communicate, and the body is the end component. All four of these, you're going to feel this on all levels. And this time on 12-12-12, between 5:30 and 12:30 noon, will be a time of redepositing what you are experiencing versus what you know. Very, very important. So if you're able to, between this time, 5:30 and 12:30 noon, have some quiet time to just sort of ground yourself, center yourself, you'll find that you'll feel a lot better, because it might feel like waves of energy, feeling like you've got marbles in your belly. There will be time will be needed to stabilize what you feel and experience. So there is this mutable T-square, which indicates growing pains, and I'd highly recommend that you stay present in the now. That will be one of your most positive ways of managing this time. We're shifting, we're moving toward a period where like you've heard me say in other shows, like we're being rebirthed, or time is starting over, so to speak. So then I want to talk now about this new moon, because these are sort of like steps up toward the winter solstice, or this beginning of this new age, as we refer to it as. So now the new moon is this week, December 13th, and it occurs at exactly 2:44 a.m. here in Manchester, New Hampshire. And it does remind us that, to keep a positive outlook. Everything is beautiful if we just believe it. If we just believe that there's beauty in everything, it's going to make a huge difference. Now, this new moon is exactly, and you can see it if you look at, let me see, about 7 o'clock on the chart. So the bottom part of the chart, I'm going to actually get that chart right in front of me so that I can discuss it a little bit more with you. So the bottom left side of the chart, about, I'd say, 7 o'clock, you see this crescent for the sun and the moon, and they're at 21 degrees and 43 minutes of Sagittarius. And so what this indicates, this presence of this new moon, is that it's bringing us to a place of understanding the value of a spiritual practice, especially at a time when so many are so confused in their minds and resolving issues that are seated in their souls, going back deep within their lineage and within their ancestral lines. That is so important, that we seek be optimistic about where we're going, even in the face of all this change. So there's a huge value of maintaining a positive outlook, being optimistic, and realizing the beautiful process we are so lucky to be experiencing by being alive right now here on Earth. So this new framework of this moon cycle, especially between now and the end of the month. I was looking at this and studying this with the charts last night in preparation for this show, and what I'm seeing on this new moon, it's really going to hold us and staying present and realizing the value of believing something bigger than ourselves, that there is a bigger picture, a bigger plan on the horizon, and that it inspires us to look at new horizons, look beyond where we've already looked. It's just so important. And you know what's really interesting about this new moon chart is that it promises us that we're going to be lucky. You see that big blue triangle right in the middle of the chart? It promises us that we're going to be lucky if we, in our minds, keep this positive outlook and look beyond what we already know. We're going to be lucky in this process. We're going to make it through this time of change. I was with someone yesterday who said to me, "Are you sure we're going to be okay? Are you sure that nothing's going to happen?" And my response is that, I believe that we are going to experience more shakeups here on Earth. I mean, we are sort of, bending and cracking and moving so that we can fit through this time and adapt to where we're going. So I feel very confident, and I'm very optimistic about where we're going, and I think everybody should hold that attitude. And so it's interesting too that on this new moon chart, that it does show that there are lots of challenges. People are not clear. They have a hard time imagining that our world, that our home, that where we live, that our Earth is going to be a different place moving forward. It's hard to believe that. So there is this challenge of managing these effects, and so that is very important as we progress this month, because a new moon, as you know, creates the framework of growth, of new growing experiences. And this new moon is the first cycle after the cycle of the solar eclipse, which promised us this new identity. So what this is adding to the framework of what we've identified. Now here we go, we look for ways to understand and to realize the truth about what's our next step. And so now let's talk about December 21st, 2012, the winter solstice, and what that looks like, because the sun is going to be at exactly 0 degrees Capricorn in the constellation of Capricorn, which is, let me see here, right about 9 o'clock in this chart. You see the sun. It's the symbol is a circle with a dot, and it says 0, and the Capricorn symbol is there, and it says that structurally we're going to have to work through what our experiences are. And Capricorn is an energy that's very factual. It says, okay, let's have the discipline to do the work that we need to do. And now the 0 degrees sun, though, in Capricorn, that occurs at exactly 5:57 and 3 seconds, 5:57 a.m. in the morning on 12/21/12. That is exactly the time of the winter solstice. And a lot of people will be joining together throughout the world to celebrate this period of time. And because this is a marker of the shortest day of the year, but also now the days will slowly begin to become longer and a little at a time. So the light begins to increase, but it marks the end of the short days. So when I'm looking at this chart, I see the sun in Capricorn, and the aspects that it's forming. If you look at that sun and you look at the red squares, the lines in the middle that stem out from that sun, what it's forming is what we call a cardinal T-square, and that is an indication of turbulent, and this is an unnerving chart. It does promise, though, what it does promise, though, is a safe passage, that the earth will face some challenges while the sun squares Uranus, and that there's a period of 4 to 6 days which this turbulent energy is going to be extremely strong. Really, though, it does, until that cardinal T-square, it comes full circle by the full moon at the end of the month, which is December 28th. It does promise us lots of shakeups here on Earth, and the water being affected, the waters of the ocean also being affected and affecting us. So in looking at that chart, though, here's some of the things that are really, really supportive of us, things that we can do that will be easier during this time, is to find ways to understand who you are. Take care of your family. Be progressive and be courageous in taking care of your family, your children, and be assertive in that process as well. Look for new ways. Look for new ideas. Search. Collect. Gather information. All of that's going to be really helpful to you at this time. Certainly, there is a sense of that, there's so many people that are having this sense of that underlyingly that we may not, people think, you hear it all over the news. This is the end of the world. I'm looking at this, that is not the end of the world. This is the beginning of a new world and a new way. The age of Aquarius is a time where we learn what it means to be united rather than it's all about me. It's all about me. It's all about what I can achieve on my own. All of us together in this process is so important. And we do still see this finger of God showing up in the heavens. If you look at about 10 o'clock on the chart, the foot of this being Saturn in Scorpio, Saturn in the constellation of Scorpio, meaning that it is going to take a lot of faith and a lot of positive thinking and belief system when it comes to what you're seeing around you in your community. Everybody's in a place of transition, and it's a lot of hard work. So, but that foot or that finger of God is promising us that we are feeling sort of like that tuning fork that I talked about earlier, that it is going to take some time to adjust to this change and the way we feel. The families are going to take time to change and adapt and shift. People are looking for information, education, and the other hand of this finger of God does point to us is that between now and the end of January, what we've been looking for to find our center, our place of focus is information that provides us that understanding of where we're going. So these are all important things to remember in this process of looking at this chart, and that it is going to take listening to other people's stories, listening to what other people have to say, listening to how they're managing, how they're taking responsibility for their part in this whole big picture. And it's interesting, I was feeling like this was going to be an important show to talk to people, just to sort of overview what this month is going to look like, because we've got Christmas, we've got all these energetic shifts, so many people in a place of change, and so I thought it would be a good idea to overall just kind of do an overview of what this looks like and how you could best manage it, because with understanding comes a sense of peace. And yesterday I saw, I was going somewhere over in Seabrook, New Hampshire, and I saw on somebody's yard a huge peace symbol. And I thought that was really great to see that, because it did make me smile to think that people are thinking about peace. And it's so important, finding peaceful resolutions to the problems that we're facing. And so I want to say to everyone out there, we are in this place of change, and remember, everything is beautiful. If you look for that beauty, it's there. And so I do want to say thanks for watching Turn to the Stars. And one more thing, mark your calendars for January 12th. We have another Psychic Holistic Fair at the Yard Seafood and Steakhouse in Manchester. And it is going to be from 10 o'clock to 4 o'clock, and the theme of this fair is Spirit, Mind, Body, and Soul. Spirit, Soul, Mind, and Body. So I call it SSMB. So we hope you mark your calendar and come see us again. We're there every other month. And I do want to say a big thanks for watching Turn to the Stars. Take good care, and I will see you next week.